Good afternoon. Welcome to This Week in Turkey. President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan and his delegation arrived in Germany yesterday following a 4-day visit to the United States for the United Nations General Assembly. The agenda of Erdogan's 3-day state visit includes meetings with both President Frank-Walter Steinmeier and Chancellor Angela Merkel on matters related to political, economic, and security cooperation between the two countries. Also, Syria's Idlib and Turkey's relations with the European Union. Erdogan's first meeting with Merkel ended earlier this afternoon and was followed by a press conference. During the press conference, Merkel told reporters that she agreed with Turkish President Erdogan to aim for holding a 4-way meeting in October to discuss the situation of the rebel-held Syrian region of Idlib. Joining us on our show today is Özgür Ünlühisarcıklı, who is the Ankara director of the German Marshall Fund, and we will be talking about Turkey's relations with the West in light of today's meeting between President Erdogan and German Chancellor Merkel. Good afternoon, Mr. Ünlühisarcıklı. Welcome once again to This Week in Turkey. There seems to be a problem with our connection with our guest, Mr. Ünlühisarcıklı. Can you hear me? We will proceed with our next news video and then we will be back.
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Then we can continue with our guest, Mr. Özgür Ünlühisarcıklı, whom, as I said, is the Ankara director of the German Marshall Fund. So, Mr. Ünlühisarcıklı, welcome once again. There were a number of items on today's meeting between Erdogan and Merkel. As you know, they include political, economic, and security cooperation between the two countries, Syria and Turkey-EU relations. But what, in your opinion, was the most important item?
Hi, have a good day. I believe during this state visit, the most important item was that this meeting, this visit, was actually possible at a time when both sides still hold mutual grievances towards each other, and there are several and important unresolved issues. The fact that this visit was realized at this high level is a sign of the depth of the Turkish-German relationship, particularly in the economic area. But apart from the visit itself, I believe that the most important outcome of the visit so far has been the announcement of the 4-party meeting, as we have said, between Turkey, Russia, Germany, and France. This is very important and will become even more important in the future because Turkey cooperates with Russia in Syria under the Astana process. On the other hand, Turkey disagrees with Russia on some issues, and on these issues, Turkey is actually on the same page with the United States and EU member states, Idlib being one of them. But other such issues may emerge as the Syria conflict approaches the end game. So it is very important that Turkey has other allies at the table when discussing and negotiating with Russia such issues.
So let's take it from there, Mr. Ünlühisarcıklı, and concentrate on this proposed 4-way meeting between Turkey, Germany, France, and Russia on Syria's Idlib. What does this tell us, in your opinion, about regional dynamics in the Middle East? In other words, is Turkey shifting away from its traditional Atlantic ally, United States, and moving closer to European governments?
I would not say that. It would be a bridge too far to try to bring together Russia and the United States. I mean, that's by no means a possible thing so far, and therefore bringing Germany and France to the table is not actually shifting away from the United States. On the contrary, I could say that this is, in a way, shifting back to its transatlantic allies. But this should not deceive us. So this move does not mean that Turkey will stop cooperating with Russia. It just means that Turkey wants to see some of its allies at the table when talking with Russia.
Mm-hmm. And let's now get to the matters between Turkey and the EU that were also one of the items of the agenda of today's meeting. So you sent a tweet yesterday. You tweeted that, and I quote, "President Erdogan's state visit to Germany is not insignificant, but expectations in Turkey need to be toned down. Customs union modernization, visa liberalization, or financial assistance to Turkey will not be on the agenda." If this is the case, why do you think is there a hype around this meeting?
Well, there's a hype around this meeting because usually such state visits do not happen unless there is an agreement to be made, or there are issues to be resolved, or there are distances to be made. But this was not such a meeting. Such a visit. So people were confused about why this visit was taking place at such an unlikely time, and people were coming up with explanations. And it is not a secret that Turkey is going through economic challenges, and resolution. And as we have said. Can you hear me?
Right now we can.
Okay, sorry for the poor connection. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I mean, if I may continue, mm-hmm. I mean, I could go through a whole list of what was not on the agenda. Mm-hmm. I mean, Turkey's EU accession process was not on the agenda, although President Erdogan did say after the press meeting that he would like to re-energize Turkey's accession process. On the other hand, I mean, everybody knows that unless Turkey takes significant steps towards democratization after a couple of years of democratic slide back, this is not a possibility. Customs union modernization, as a matter of fact, there is no reason why the customs union modernization cannot be launched because there are no political criteria for launching it. But then there is no appetite among the EU member states to begin any big projects with Turkey. It's not possible to start the visa liberalization process because there are still reforms that Turkey needs to make. The roadmap is not completed by Turkey yet. And then the other question, the bigger question, if Germany would bail out Turkey, Germany has neither a mechanism, nor a reason, nor an appetite for doing it directly, unilaterally. So therefore, none of these issues that people were talking were part of the discussion today.
Mm-hmm. As you will also remember, Mr. Ünlühisarcıklı, relations between Turkey and Germany were strained to quite a great extent during Turkey's April 2017 referendum, as at the time Erdogan had called the German government Nazi remnants. And this was seen as a breaking point between the two countries back then. How do you think is the situation right now? Have these remarks been forgotten by the German government?
These remarks have not been forgotten, obviously, and in diplomacy, no remark is ever forgotten. But I guess the German government is also aware that President Erdogan has changed his rhetoric and narrative toward Germany and European member states in general. And on the other hand, the other issues, mainly remain unresolved. There are German citizens who are going through a judicial process in Turkey and who are under detention. Germany calls some of them political detainees and wants their immediate release. Some of these people have... Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so some of these people have already been released, but of course there is still a number that Germany expects to be released. That remains there. And then Turkey has concerns about the freedom that the PKK enjoys in European member states, including in Germany, and the freedom that the Fethullahist terrorist organization enjoys among European member states, including Germany. These issues remain unresolved in Germany as well. So the issues that actually caused the tension are there, or President Erdogan again wanted to address the Turkish community in Germany in a closed meeting setting, and again this was not allowed by German authorities. The difference was, while President Erdogan had made it a very big issue the last time it happened, this time he just let it go unnoticed. So the issues are still there, but it seems that both sides have decided not to make the issues a reason for breaking the relationship.
And finally, will this meeting be a step towards the normalization of relations between the two countries, in your opinion?
This is actually what the German President Steinmeier has said while answering a question. He said this visit will not normalize German-Turkish relationship, but it will be a step towards normalization. If everything goes well, if there is no unforeseen crisis or scandal during this visit, I believe that this could be the first step towards normalization of the relationship. And one thing is very important. Both sides are very frank in their dialogue. I mean, they are not shy to express their concerns in a polite way, of course, and neither side shows any criticism or reaction towards the other side's raising of their concerns. This is very good for future dialogue and the resolution of at least some of the problems. And one thing should not be forgotten. Sometimes in Turkey we hear rhetoric such as Germany is jealous of Turkey's economic development, Germany wants the Turkish economy to fail, etc. The truth could not be farther away. Actually, Germany and the German private sector has a very big stake in the health of the Turkish economy. There are several German companies and big-scale German companies who are manufacturing in Turkey. Germany is a very important export market for Turkey. And then Germany is also a very important investment market for German as well as other financial investors as well. On the other hand, the German-Turkish economic relationship is quite balanced. Turkey is exporting as much as it's importing, and the Turkish exports to Germany are not all low technology intensive products. There are some medium technology intensive products as well. So this is a relationship that Turkey, as Germany is, benefiting very much so. And then I haven't even spoken about Turkish families in Germany, which are nowadays a source of tension, but which is also a bridge between Turkish and German societies. So Turkey and Germany has so much in common, and they have so many interests that they share, that the relationship, for example, unlike the Turkish-American, the US-Turkey relationship, the relationship is very resilient. It easily bounces back, and then there are owners of the relationship on both sides. In the US-Turkey relationship, there is an ownership problem nowadays. But in the German-Turkish relationship, the private sectors on both sides own the relationship, and they don't let it go down the drain. This makes me very optimistic about the future of Turkey-German relations.
Mr. Ünlühisarcıklı, thank you very much for joining us today and for your comments.
My pleasure.
Today we were joined by Özgür Ünlühisarcıklı, who commented on the outcome of President Erdogan's visit to Germany. And now we'll continue with our next news video. President Erdogan addressed the 73rd General Assembly of the United Nations in New York on Tuesday.
President Recep Tayyip Erdogan continued his criticism of U.S. foreign policy during the UN General Assembly meeting on Tuesday. Erdogan likened the financial sanctions which America has placed on Turkish officials to weapons. Without directly naming the U.S., Erdogan told the assembly, "None of us can remain silent to the arbitrary cancellation of commercial agreements and the use of economic sanctions as weapons." He was referring to Washington's asset freezes on 2 Turkish ministers in response to Ankara's continued detention of American pastor Andrew Brunson on spying charges, which Brunson denies. "Nobody wants the world to experience a new economic rupture," Erdogan said. "It is very easy to create chaos, but it's difficult to re-establish order. And today, some countries are persistently trying to create chaos." US-Turkish relations are at a low following the diplomatic crisis, which has yet to be resolved despite multiple high-level meetings. Regarding the case of American pastor Andrew Brunson, President Erdogan said in an interview with Reuters on Tuesday, while he was in New York for the UN General Assembly meetings, that any decision on Brunson would be made by the courts. Moreover, Erdogan said that the Brunson case is not even closely related to Turkey's economy. The current economic challenges have been exaggerated more than necessary, and Turkey will overcome these challenges with its own resources, Erdogan said. The Turkish lira has lost nearly 40% of its value against the dollar this year, on concerns over Erdogan's grip on monetary policy and the diplomatic dispute between Ankara and Washington. Regarding Syria, Erdogan said, "We will continue to increase the number of safe zones on our border with Syria, including the area east of the Euphrates." Moreover, Erdogan said that the UN Security Council currently serves the interests of its 5 permanent members holding veto rights, namely the US, Russia, China, France, and Britain. He said that these 5 countries are standing idle to the oppressions in other parts of the world. Erdogan has long advocated for reforming the structure of the Security Council, pushing the motto, "The world is bigger than 5."
Turkey's Court of Cassation has ruled for the release of main opposition Republican People's Party CHP deputy Enis Berberoğlu.
On September 20th, Turkey's Court of Cassation ordered the release of the jailed opposition lawmaker Enis Berberoğlu, who had been sentenced to more than 5 years for disclosing government secrets. Enis Berberoğlu was the first lawmaker from the main opposition Republican People's Party, CHP, to be jailed amid government purges following the failed military coup in 2016. Berberoğlu was initially sentenced in June 2017 to 25 years for espionage on charges that he gave an opposition newspaper a video purporting to show Turkey's intelligence agency trucking weapons into Syria. He denied the charges. In a retrial that finished on February 13th of this year, Berberoğlu, who has denied the charges, was sentenced to 5 years and 10 months in jail. In Turkey's parliamentary election in June, Berberoğlu was re-elected to parliament from behind bars. The Court of Cassation ruled last week that Berberoğlu's sentence should be suspended, and it freed him for the remainder of his term as a CHP lawmaker. The opposition Cumhuriyet Daily published its original report about the alleged weapons shipment to Syria based on a video that allegedly came from Berberoğlu. 2 of the newspaper's journalists, Can Dündar and Erdem Gül, were sentenced to at least 5 years in jail over the reports, but were later released pending an appeal process. Dündar has since left Turkey and is now being tried in absentia. Gül remains in the country and is free while his appeal is in process.
Turkish car manufacturer Tofaş has announced that it will suspend production in its key plant for a 9-day period, citing shrinkage in the domestic market.
Tofaş, a joint venture between Fiat and Turkey's Koç Holding, has said it will suspend production in its key plant for a non-consecutive 9-day period, citing shrinkage in the domestic market. Production will be suspended for 9 days during October in the Bursa plant due to recent contraction in the domestic market, the company said in a statement to the public disclosure platform late on Wednesday. Some employees will be on duty during the period, it added. Turkey's passenger car and light commercial vehicle sales fell 53% in August, the Automotive Distributors Association has said. In a monthly sector statement, the association said on September 4th that the market lagged by 43.7% behind the last decade monthly average, which is composed of 60,951 units.
The Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, submitted a draft bill seeking amnesty for some prisoners to the Parliament Speaker's office on Monday. If passed, more than 160,000 prisoners are expected to benefit from the amnesty.
On Monday, Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, submitted a draft amnesty law to the Turkish parliament. The proposal, which offers a one-off conditional discount of 5 years for crimes that have been committed before May 19, 2018, is likely to lead a release of around 163,000 people, including a well-known organized crime boss, Alaaddin Çakıcı, and author Emrah Serbest, who is responsible for the death of 3 people due to drunk driving. The amnesty proposal first came to public attention when MHP leader Devlet Bahçeli paid a visit in late May to organized crime leader Alaaddin Çakıcı in a hospital. Bahçeli openly advocated Çakıcı's release, calling him a hero and claiming he is severely ill. The MHP leader asked Erdogan to use his power of amnesty for Çakıcı ahead of the June 24th general and presidential elections. The amnesty will not apply to those convicted of crimes such as sexual assault, genocide, homicide, child abuse, and crimes against the state, the government, national defense, the founder of Turkey Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, and the law on forests.
Germany has beaten Turkey to host the Euro 2024 after a vote by the UEFA's Executive Committee on Thursday.
Germany will host the 2024 European Championship in football after beating Turkey in a UEFA vote. UEFA President Alexander Sefrin announced yesterday that Germany will host the final tournament of the UEFA European Football Championship in 2024 in a ceremony held at the House of European Football in Nyon, Switzerland, in front of representatives of the two bidding associations. Following the final presentations of the two applicants, Germany and Turkey, the UEFA Executive Committee deliberated and voted to select the hosts of UEFA Euro 2024 under the supervision of an independent notary. In the ballot, the 17 members of the UEFA Executive Committee entitled to vote were asked to indicate their preferred bid. Turkey's Servet Yardımcı, another member of the Executive Committee, and Germany's Reinhard Grindel, a vice president of the UEFA, were ineligible to vote. Germany received 12 votes from the 17-member committee, with 4 opting for Turkey and 1 abstention. Germany and Turkey were the only countries in the running for Euro 2024, and in the build-up, an evaluation report by UEFA stated Turkey's bid had risks. The report added that Turkey's lack of an action plan in the area of human rights and limited hotel capacity in many cities were matters of concern. It also labeled the scale of transport infrastructure work required a risk.
Now let's take a look at what's on in Istanbul next week.
Sometimes called the Turkish Nora Jones, Karsu, a native of Holland, will perform tomorrow evening at the Ayar İrini Museum, the magnificent church of the Topkapı Palace. Her voice is worth the detour. Dream Art is hosting Fahrel Nisa Zaid's solo exhibition. The exhibition brings together works compiled from private collections, some of which were displayed at the retrospective exhibitions held at Tate Modern and Deutsche Bank Kunsthalle in 2017. Organized in cooperation with the collectors in Turkey and the artist estate, the exhibition exemplifies Zaid's oil paintings from different periods of her career, spanning over more than 40 years.
That's all from This Week in Turkey. Thanks for tuning in and hope to see you again next Friday at 5 p.m. Goodbye.